welcome to the next TCP video. I am Andrew Arrow. This is my credit page. I just got a memo from YouTube Central. They said it's required that I tell you to click that like button, and unfortunately I have to say smash that subscribe button. I don't know why I have to say that. I just work here. Okay, on to the next video. If you saw our first TCP video, you are familiar with the TCP Handshake. Here's our next one where we're going to show moving kind of a bigger file over here. So let's look at what's going on the screen here. Over on the right side, you'll notice there's a destination. And you notice it started with destination buffer, and then it was destination program. And so here, let me start this program again so you can see that there's a lot going on here. So over on the right-hand side, destination buffer, and the bottom right-hand side, destination program. It's going to become an important concept of that, this network traffic that we're sending over, these TCP segments, they get buffered. And you notice right there, the buffer got full. So we're using a default buffer size of just 10 segments. And so you can see now how every time it reaches 10, there's a little delay there. And we have to wait for one of those segments to move down to the bottom right side, which is their actual program that's doing something with each of these segments. So a great example of this might be thinking of over the network, you're transferring over a video file, and you want to read the bytes as quickly as you can. You want those all to just get spewed into that buffer because you don't want any delay as far as the other side is going to be waiting for you. So you want to read the bytes as fast as you can, put them in your buffer. And this buffer size of 10 is rather small. We're going to expand that in a second here, but showing that it's what happens when the buffer gets full. Well, when the buffer gets full and you have to do something with each segment, that takes a little bit of time. Well, now you're reading the network bytes much slower because you have to wait for a new spot in the buffer to become available before another segment can go in. And if you look over on the left-hand side, you notice that I just took a large file that I have found sitting on my hard drive. It was 102.7 megabytes. And if you look at the actual number of bytes, that's 102.729.562. And then if you divide that by 512, that's the segment size we used in the last video, you come out to around 200,000 segments. And the actual number is 200,644 segments. Each one of those segments need to be transferred over the line. They have to work. They have to get over there. If we miss one, we're going to ask for it again. We're going to get to that when we talk about ACKs. But if you notice, the number of segments is slowly going down, and the percent of this download being done is slowly going down. Started at 100%, left to transfer. Now we're down to 99.98% left to transfer. Going pretty slow. 200,606 segments now have transferred, and they're going over one by one by one. Our buffer size is very small, and the speed at which we're writing these things to disk or doing some sort of transformation on them, which is taking a while, is rather slow too, because I'm using just the defaults. Okay. So let's start this program again, and this time, let's add some different options here. Let's first say buffer size, and rather than a buffer size of just 10, let's go ahead and just make it easy and understand what's going on here. Let's just show it fill up to 20 this time, and so you can see now it's going slightly faster than what we were just looking at because there's different speeds going on here. The speed at which it can insert into the buffer is much quicker than the speed at which the bottom right side, can actually, use those bytes. So you can see size 14, 15, 16, we're going pretty fast here. It's nice, our buffer is not full yet. It's not until, did you see that? Size 20 full. Now everything slows down. Why? Because now we're at the mercy of the speed of the one down below, the one that's, size 8 right now, size 9. These are the things that are actually consuming from the buffer. So, on the right side of the program here, when the transfer, there's really two sides of it. There's the buffer, which is just, getting as many bytes as it possibly can, as fast as it can. And then the thing that wants to do something with those segments, maybe write it to disk or maybe do some sort of transformation on it. Like the video example, a great example is converting an AVI file to a .mov file or one format to another. And it takes time to process those bytes and write it to disk. Okay. So now we've seen what it's like with a larger buffer, but now let's increase the size here. Let's say the wire speed. Let's say this is going rather quick. Let's say it's going at just 100 milliseconds. Let's see if we see. Oh yeah, it's going much faster, right? And you notice we filled up our buffer really quick. Like we got to buffer size 20, like that. And so now we're still back at that other slow speed. So let's see if we can change that. So that was our wire speed, but we also have our program speed, I think I called it. What if I make that 200? Oh, you know what? I think I might have named it slightly wrong. I don't think that's program speed. I think it's process speed. There we go. Okay. So, oh yeah, now things are trucking along much differently, right? So now we have our buffer is going to get full pretty soon. I think it already is full at 20, right? And then our process speed is much quicker now. And so notice, even though now we're trucking along slowly in that same state of we can only put one into the buffer every time we take one out, we're taking one out much quicker now. And so let's change these settings around even more. So we have a process speed of 200. We have a wire speed of 100. Let's go ahead and make the buffer quite large. Let's make the buffer like 1,000. Look at this. We're not slowing down at all now. So now if you look at the left-hand side, notice that 99.96%, it's going down much faster. The number of segments is going down much faster. Why? Because they're all filling up into that buffer. And that buffer, remember, we made it size 1,000, so it's not going to fill up here anytime quick at all. It's just going to keep going. And we're reading from the buffer at a nice quick speed too. So anyway, this is part 2 of the TCP demo, to just kind of give you an idea of this whole concept of the buffer and then the program that reads from the buffer, and really coming to terms with these segments and how large they can be, how many of them there are when you're transferring a large file. Like this, in the first video we did, it was just a Shakespeare's play, which was just, like 3,000 bytes, and it was only like 7 segments. Well, that's nothing compared to a real world example like this, which is, a 100 megabyte file. And you can see we're not even close to being done. We still have over 200,000 segments to go. But anyway, in the next video, we're going to step through this much slower, and we're going to talk about, what happens when, one fails and it doesn't ACK, and it needs to send one of these segments again. And what happens when the segments come in the wrong order? Like in this case, you notice they're all coming in the exact right order. What happens when, segment 1044, comes in, not directly after 1043, and there's going to be a little wait there too as they reorder. Anyway, that'll all come next time. Thanks for watching. This has been a github.com Andrew Arrow presentation. All the code is up there at github.com Andrew Arrow /ACK. And thanks for watching.